All right, breaking news that we have at this hour. It's like some peace is coming back to the National Assembly. We just heard now that the office of the embattled Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Akpoti-Uduaghan, the office has been unsealed. Men of the security and the sergeant at arm went to our office, opened the door, as in unsealed the door, and you know she has written to them earlier that she's going to resume when the house resume, and we don't know really what's happening. There are no details, but let's take a little insight and see how things are playing out. I still have Philip and Philemon, the two Phil in the house. Philemon, you smile as if you said that this thing needed a political solution, not about the law, and now it's like we are going about it with a political solution.
I think it's even beyond political solution. It's the legal thing to do. This idea of interpreting and reinterpreting the law should stop. There was a case instituted. The case had to do with the legality or otherwise of the suspension, right? And the suspension had a terminal date. Now, I had said before that once that terminal date expired, there's nothing else but to allow her to go back while the case goes through the court processes, even to the Supreme Court, if they so wish. So, but then you have a situation where personal preferences, you have a situation where political malfeasance get into the way of the law. For God's sake, we have always said that the law is supreme and that the law does not respect anybody, not even the president of the country. So why are we doing this? Why do we see something that is black and we say we are not sure? It could be gray, it could be red, it could be yellow. Why? So for me, the right thing is being done, and it should be done. And the president, for God's sake, we know his antecedent as somebody who fought very hard for democracy and the principles of democracy. And it cost him. Some people lost their lives in that battle. Some people spent years in jail in that battle. Today is the president. We want to see him exhibit that those principles he espoused while he was in the trenches. We want to see it now. It shouldn't be that you have two voices, one for opposition, one for ruling party. It shouldn't be so.
It should be the voice of the law.
It should be the voice of the law. And it should be a man of the law who will endorse what is right, what is legal, no matter whose us is God.
Philip, the law doesn't have ambiguities. No. If there are gray areas of the law, that's why we have the Supreme Court to explain to us these gray areas. The law is plain and direct. And like I said, if it has gray areas, they should be explained. What we know is that a woman is suspended. She challenged her suspension. The suspension has come to an end, but the challenging of her suspension becomes an academic issue, just for the records. But now, the National Assembly now says that whatever is between the law will stay with the law, and until the law decides, she will not come in. These are the ambiguity that he is talking about, that the law doesn't have ambiguity. Do you agree with that?
Clearly, the law does not have ambiguity. But we're not talking about the law here today. We're talking about the office of Natasha be unsealed by the authority of the National Assembly. The question we will need to ask ourselves, what does this portend to us? Does it mean that there's hope for Natasha when the Senate reconvene 18th of October? Or is just a normal routine of the National Assembly? I think we should consign our mind to believe that positivity is coming on the way of Natasha, because for the past 6 months, the office has remained sealed. Even when she wrote to the National Assembly and the clerk of the Senate precisely, and his response, he said, we'll wait out the process in the law court. Nothing was done. All of a sudden this morning we heard that the office has been unsealed. The signal he gave to us here is that, look, it appears, as we always said, these things should not be law all the time. I think what is happening that the authority and those who are involved, they are exploring other option of resolving the issue. Even when this day wrote to legal experts, respected legal minds on the topic, out of the 4 of them, 3 of them expressly, or even the entire 4, advise that Natasha and the National Assembly should explore alternative means of resolving the issue. Because if you are going to follow the legal process, there's no way you will not conclude what is in court before you can do any other thing. What this unsealing of the office means to me, in my mind, it shows that, there's other option being explored and the result is being seen. And that's what we want. We want the people of Kogi Central to be represented, their voice to be heard. Like what you said in the last time we dwell on this topic. Now that a budget of 2026 is going to be presented, who will speak for Kogi Central? Who will impute development on their behalf? So if we are hearing now that the office has been sealed, hoping that Natasha will come in, it then means that Kogi Central pains will come to an end. I think that's the light I am seeing it. Okay. I'm not seeing it from the light of whether the law is ambiguity or if they are not ambiguity about the law. There has never been ambiguity in the law. There are technicalities. You can't do anything without technicalities. There are exceptions to every rule. There are proviso in every provision of the law. So those as a legal expert, as a lawyer, when you are saddled with a charge of defending the issue, to look for those areas that you can use as a escaping route for your client. So there's no ambiguity in the law.
Okay. I beg to disagree with you, though, saying that it's not about the law. I'm not a PDP member, neither am I from Kogi Central, but I'm first of all a Nigerian. We don't want cases that will go on after, because you see, life moves on, and we are still going to have cases like this. Right. The president of the Senate, is he going to still take on this platform and suspend a senator for 6 months? That's number one. Number two, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria suspended a governor for 6 months. It was challenged in court. The case is still in court, but the governor has resumed. Now, are you saying that the case in court will be come to a conclusive end on behalf of the governor before the governor returns back? Exactly. The governor has returned back. That's what I'm saying. It's ambiguity of the law, or the complications to which the law gives to us that you are giving to us now.
In response to your statement, especially as at Fed River State, bear in mind that similarly Fuba, the city governor of River State that was suspended, never went to court. So he was not a party to that suit. So whatever that is good does not affect him. That is the law. He's not a party to the suit. But in this case, Natasha is the claimant, is the one who went to court to challenge the legality or the legality of her suspension. So she's a party to the case. There are two different scenarios.
Okay, so there's no ambiguity. I will still bring a question to you.
Yes.
If Natasha was not a part of the case that went to court now, and the court gave a ruling that she should be reinstated, and they challenge it in court of her reinstatement, and the case drags on, and 6 months expire, will she come back?
You see, sometime when this issue is being discussed, I feel very I feel funny about it, because the thing is clear. Natasha had never at any point accepted her suspension, or like Fubara, who accepted his suspension and go home and wait for his 6 months. Natasha challenged, to understand the word, he challenged the legality of her suspension before a court of law, and that issue is yet to be resolved one way or the other. Yes, the trial court has given decision. Both parties has appealed to the court of appeal. It goes on and on and on. For instance, if you have issue in court with somebody on a land matter today, and then you, in the first instance, you have judgment, and then the person went to appeal, will you go and take the land? No, except you have been able to enforce judgment. No judgment has been enforced. So there are two different scenarios.
Okay, all right.
The Fubara accept his fate He accepted the suspension. He didn't go to court to challenge.
Okay, let me come to Philemon. Philemon, Fubara accepts his suspension, for example, but that doesn't mean the right thing was done by those in authority, even if he accepts his suspension. But that also doesn't deny the fact that the case is in court.
That's right.
Now, if the case was interpreted in court that there's an illegality by the president in suspending Fubara go back, even though it was not Fubara that challenged the law.
I think what my dear friend Philip is missing are the ingredients of each of these cases. First of all, you ask yourself, why did Fubara not go to court? There's a reason for that. Fubara did not go to court because there is an addendum to the situation, the fight between himself
And Wike.
And he knows that if he tries it, he's not going to come back. I can tell you that. He's not going to come back. He's not going to. Wike has all the authority to put pressure on the president to suspend that guy indefinitely. Whether it's legal or illegal, doesn't really
They don't
matter.
care.
It doesn't really matter. But then, we had 10 governors that went to court.
11 at that time.
The point that he's making, that, because Fubara did not himself go to court, does not hold water with me. A court case is a court case. Now, I have problem with lawyers, with interpretation, but that's the profession. As he said before we came on board, you go to court because your client wants you to go to court, irrespective of
what is right or wrong.
What is right or wrong, or whether you're going to win or not, does not matter. You just go to court. In this case, let me even draw his attention to a previous case, and that was in Plateau State, where the governor went to court. What happened? The Supreme Court decided that, okay, you don't have a locus because you have already been suspended. So technically, you are not the governor of the state. So you don't have a standing to come to court. So you see all of this nonsense going on. And I tell you one thing, it all comes down to the judiciary. The judiciary is not managing itself well at all. Right? There's a difference between justice and legality. All these technicalities we're talking about. I have read a compendium of the cases of Supreme Court cases in the United States. The justices will sometimes they will look at a case and say, no, this is not within the parameters of the law. But for this case, this is how we're going to decide because of the local issues involved in this case. When was the last time you saw that in any of our courts? What you hear now is that our hands are tied. I don't believe
Who tied your hand?
Who tied your hand? There's judicial activism because the law does not only come from the legislation, it also comes from the courts. So the court should stand up and take responsibility for God's sake. So it's not all about interpretation. It's not about gray areas. We are just out of control. That's my position. We are just out of control.
Okay, well, Philip, let me come back to you. I respect the fact that you are looking at the fact that there's a political solution being looked at in this case of Natasha. I have opted for a political solution for a very long time, and I mentioned it. I said there was no need in wasting government money because most of the monies that are being used by the house are all government money, and wasting of time of a particular people that elected them someone to represent them. Everybody is a senator in their constituency. Everybody is a senator.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Can I tell you the danger of political solutions sometimes? Political solution does not enrich our jurisprudence. When you do political solutions, it creates darkness around the issue.
Gray areas.
Yes, because tomorrow somebody will come up. Obasanjo did it. Today, when he did it, we said it was illegal.
Yes.
Today, this current president has done it. Tomorrow, if this case is not decided one way or the other, tomorrow, Another president will come and do the same thing. Another Senate president will come and do. So I am not a fan of this political. Yes, it's okay because it reduces the temperature, but it does not enrich jurisprudence. And we need to enrich our jurisprudence.
Do you see it that way?
You see, what I think we're here, looking at is not, we're not taking the judiciary into,
On trial.
So, but what we're doing, we are telling the world that there's hope for Senator Natasha.
Yes.
Her office that has been seized for the past 6 months has been on sea. What could this portend to us? It shows that there's hope for her, and it appears that the Senate, they are trying to, look inward and see how they can bring one of their own back, and that's what we are telling the public. Whether the judiciary are doing their work or they are shying away from what they ought to do, I don't think is the issue at stake. Judiciary will always do their work the way they want to do it. There are times in this country where our judiciary is superb, where you have the types of Justice Oputa, Olukayode, Kutigi, and all that. Life is in a circle. Sometimes you have the bad time, you have the good time. I don't think the judiciary is having good time at this time, so that shouldn't be our worry at the moment. But what is important is that Senator Natasha, a very formidable female senator, an Amazon from Kogi Central, who has been on trial, seems to be having a good time ahead of her, because the Senate has been on recess and she was suspended within the Senate year, which has come to an end sometime in July, and they are resuming a new Senate year in October. They were ought to have resumed this week, but they have joined to, or rather they have rescheduled for 18th of October. And it look as if before now, when she wrote to the Senate, the clerk of the Senate, it look as if there's no hope for her to come back, because if you are going to go through the court process, the legal process, the Court of Appeal will take their decision and they could appeal to Supreme Court, and it will go on and on and on until the Supreme Court have decide one way or the other. But as it appeared to us today, with the action of the Sergeant at Armor at the Senate and all the security men unsealing her office, it's this hope. And it appears the Senate has looked inward and they have decided to say, okay, fine. When you beat a child with one hand, you call him or her home with the other hand. I think that's what is playing out, and that's what we're telling the public here.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I suspect, and I want you to note this, I suspect that at some point, somebody is going to tell Natasha, go and withdraw that case. It may happen very soon.
That's after she resumes.
After she resumes. And if that happens, will that be a better thing for Nigeria? That's the question all of us should ask ourselves.
No, let me respond to you. You see, when you talk about precedent and all that, this case of suspending a lawmaker in this country, this is not the first time. And this is not the first time the lawmaker that is suspended has gone to court, and the court has done justice to it. We have Uvioma Agege in the Senate, you have Ali Dume with the Senate, you have Dino Milai with the House, and so many of the plethora of cases, and they were, judgment, well-written judgment, but this court refused to follow those judgments. So what are we killing ourselves for? As I have said it, that the judiciary is not having good time at this time, and we are involving. So let's leave the judiciary and whatever that we play out of it. Let's concentrate on Natasha, who is our hero, our heroine, who had make Nigeria proud that a woman can stand for her right, even though she decide to not cave in and withdraw her case or whatever may happen. She who fight and run away will need to fight another day. The beauty of what has happened today is that there is hope that she will come back to the Senate and Kogi Center will be represented.
We wish we can really leave the judiciary out of it, but as it is, we cannot.
We are in an ecosystem.
Exactly. You see, for example, we talk about Mr. President. We can't leave him out of. If things happen in custom, we'll call Mr. President.
Right.
Because that's his jurisdiction.
That's right.
That's the area that he governs. Now, if the judiciary, we've talked about the judiciary in so many ways. Cases are brought before the judiciary and the cases are never called. I mean, there are cases of national importance, urgent emergency importance, and they don't call these cases. We wish we can. You see, I really wish we can leave them out of it, but they are so important that we can't leave them out of it.
If you want to grow a country,
yes,
you don't leave anything behind. You cannot, the political space cannot be expanding and the judiciary is collapsing.
Contracting.
It doesn't happen that
You know,
way.
you even mentioned the American system just
Yes.
now. The American system has, when a Democrat comes, he puts in somebody in the Supreme Court
Right.
that will judge on favor of the Democrats. When the Republicans come, they put, so they don't say the Republicans have 7 judges.
Right.
This one has so when a case is brought for it, that conservative ideas, the judges, they rule in favor.
And see what it's doing to them right
Yes,
now.
it is not helping democracy. Except this democracy we talk about, maybe we have to discard it.
See what it's doing to America right now. That a president of a country can say, I don't like your face. Just on the basis of that, I will say, get out of there. Not because you are not doing your job. Or the president of a country will tell somebody, I want you to prosecute this guy because he came after me when I did this or that. Where on earth? That's why I keep feeling, how on earth did we come about this American system that we are running today? Because I can see how much it is hurting America right now. To the extent that people are beginning to say the man is no longer a president, he's a king. And some Americans are saying,
very monarchical form of government.
That is where we are going. When you leave out the little bits and pieces of the system, when you get to where you are going, you discover you have no shoes.
You see, there's this case of, we're just discussing because we don't have the full details of Natasha's office being unlocked. Number one, we don't even know if she will be given access to the same office.
At least we are working on assumptions.
We are working on assumption.
Right.
So that's why we're expanding our judicial net to see how this case is. The former NSA under Goodluck Jonathan's regime was picked up and locked up for years.
Yes.
And the matter never went to court, not ever went out of it. And we can't just begin to do things the way we like. And
we have another one right now in Kano. A case came up in Sweden or wherever, Finland, right? That has been decided. We have Nambika, who has been there forever.
In a very short time.
What is the case that keeps going and going and going and going? No bus stop.
Well, like Philip said, we are actually happy that there is whether it's a political position or whatever it is, judicial. Natasha is back. I'm sure all the hitting that the thing has put into the system, everything will come down.
She's back, or her office has been unsealed.
Well, sorry. Let us hope. Maybe I'm overjumping the company with my excitement. Yeah. The other side, I'm sure with this news right now, for example, we are happy, and I'm sure that even though we don't know if she has come back, as at yesterday, she challenged the particular judge that doesn't have a jurisdiction to judge her matter. Maybe if all that one, there's a political solution, all of it will be flogged down. But like Philmon said, the jurisprudence of all these things, we want to see them so that we can always move forward to them. We are not in a banana republic, and we don't want Nigeria to be a banana republic. We want people to get justice and get it real quick when it's time for justice.